I want to say first and foremost, I'm extremely blessed to be here today. It's such an honor and an extreme privilege to talk to a group of leaders. I didn't know it was a bunch of leaders in this room. So I feel like I'm talking to the next, world changers of the United States. So I know what messages I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to you guys about 3 things today. The first thing that I want to say is that our work is not done. Like I understand that everyone here is looking to go to college. We have some people that are already in college as mentors, but our work is not done in the community. The reason why I say that is I was on a speaking tour recently. I was in Fort Worth, Texas. Anybody from Fort Worth in the building? Okay, Fort Worth. Excuse me. I was in Fort Worth, Texas, and one thing I noticed, I was talking to high school, and it was a young man in there, and I said, hey, make sure you go to college, young man. That will be very beneficial to you in the future. And he said, college, it's not really for me. I'm not really college. So I said, why is that? He said, oh, my reading scores are low. I said, I understand. And I look, he could see on my face I was a little bit angry. But I was mad, but I wasn't mad at him. I'm mad at the person that didn't put a book in his hand last summer and the person that won't put a book in his hand this summer. I'm mad at his older brother for not saying, look, man, make sure you go to college. Make sure you read this. This is how you fill out the FAFSA application. I talked to another person at the school, and it was right before I went to go speak. It was at Eastern Hills High School. Have you ever heard of Eastern Hills? It was right at Eastern Hills High School, and I talked to him. I said, make sure you sign up for the SAT prep course. And he said, oh, my mom doesn't have the money. I said, okay, I step back. I know how it is. I come from Compton, California, so I know what it is when mom don't have the money. Okay. I thought about it for a second. When I took a moment to step back, I noticed his shoes. He had on the Jordan 11s. So I started thinking. I asked him, how much did the SAT prep class cost? He said, oh man, it costs $150. You know how it is. How much did those Jordans cost? He said, $175. I said, who got you those? He said, my mom. I said, I'm mad. I'm mad because we had a kid in the crowd that was playing around a whole lot. He was joking around. And I asked him to come up. I said, young man, tell everybody a joke. You seem like, you're the funny guy. Let me hear a joke. He came up and he said, oh, I don't have a joke. I said, well, I came here to talk about college. Tell people how to get to college. And he said, tell them how to get to college. I don't know. Sit down. He went to sit down. And I said, little man, I love you, man. I'm here because I love you, and I'm going to see you do well. So I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at your barber. And not because your hairline looked like the I-30 freeway. I'm mad at your barber. I'm mad at your barber because you sit in that seat every 2 weeks and pay $15 to him, and he hasn't deposited any information into your head on how to go to college. I'm mad at your barber. And the reason why I say all this is I know there's some people in this crowd that have a younger brother. I know somebody has a younger sister. I know somebody has a mom or an auntie that they would like to encourage to do better. I know somebody in this crowd may not have hot water before. I know somebody in here may have slept on the floor before. I know somebody in here will be familiar if I said the term bucket bath, which is when you go outside, fill up a bucket of water, bring it back into the house, microwave or boil some of it, and then take a wash up. I know that for a fact. So the reason why I say that is I want to let you guys know our work is not done. Our work is not done for ourselves. Our work is not done in our community. When you guys go off to your respective colleges, I don't want you to just go into the Martin Luther King lounge at your school and complain about how there's only 4% black people at your school, or it's only 10% Hispanics and all that type of stuff. I want you guys to remember where you came from. And remember, let me not just sit up here and argue with people about what's going on BuzzFeed. Let me go to the inner city and teach a young Hispanic girl how to fill out a FAFSA. Let me teach somebody how to fill out a FAFSA. Let me go to the inner city and teach a young Hispanic man or a young black man which college applications that I filled out to get me here. That's what I want to see. So I wanted to tell you guys that our work is not done in the community. The second thing I want to let you guys know is where you draw your strength from. I want you to remember that question I said, where do you draw your strength from? There's 2 basketball teams in the NBA Finals right now. Can anybody tell me what those 2 teams are? Thank you. Excuse me. The Warriors and the Cavs. So the Warriors and the Cavs, I don't know how you feel about basketball, about the Cavs, or about the Golden State Warriors, but I hope that you like greatness. Would that be accurate? There's some people in here that are fond of greatness. Okay, let me talk about greatness for a second. You have one player on one team named Steph Curry, another great player named LeBron James. So what's special about this is right now, it's the score in the series is 3-1. The Golden State Warriors are up 3, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have one game won. And all they have to do is win one game, and then they'll win a whole championship. But if we can remember, if anybody knows anything about sports, just this time last year, they were in the same position. It was 3-0, and LeBron's team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, came all the way back and won the championship. And people ask, whoa, how did LeBron do that? Like, how do you go back and win 4 games in a row and beat the best team in the world? I'm going to tell you guys the secret, and it's not on the scouting report. The scouting report will only tell you that LeBron can't go to his left. Kyrie likes to shoot if he gets open, and J.R. Smith is going to shoot right when he gets in. Let me tell you why. The thing that wasn't on the scouting report, and the reason why they were so confused why LeBron James was able to engineer one of the greatest comebacks in finals history, is because they didn't have it on the scouting report that LeBron James slept on the floor with his mom in the projects. He been down 3-0 his whole life. His entire life he's been down 3-0. So being down 3-0 in basketball is nothing to LeBron James. That's where he draws his strength from, is when he slept on the floor with his mom in the projects. That's what I'm trying to put into you guys' head right now, is where do you draw your strength from? What experience will you look back to in your life where you draw strength? I had one of the homies back where I'm from, one of the Mexican homies actually. His name is Ricky Flores. And Ricky always tells me this story, where he draws his strength from. He always tells me that no matter where he goes in life, how far he goes, which college he's at, he always remembers when he lived in Dallas, they didn't have any lights on, and he came to America without even speaking English, and the only food that his mom could afford to buy were 2 tacos from Jack in the Box, and he had to heat those tacos up with the lighter. Ricky Flores has been down 3-0 his whole life, so him getting to college is nothing. Sitting in a class, sitting in the class and studying and having to do assignments, he's doing it on a full stomach now. It's nothing for him. He don't care about the 4%. He's not worried about what BuzzFeed talking about. He's here. Now he's about to win the championship. And that's why I want to put into you guys said, where do you draw your strength from? Where do you draw your strength from? What's an experience that you can look back in your life and say, no matter how tough things get, I'm gonna remember when I used to. I'm gonna remember when I didn't. I'm gonna remember when everybody thought that I was, and then that's gonna be the thing that'll pull you through those tough times when you get into college. The last thing I want to talk about is your mindset. That's the biggest thing for me. Everybody always asks me like, how did you do this or how did you accomplish this? And I always tell people simply, it's a mindset. When I talk about a mindset, you guys see me up here today, some, random buff black guy with some dreads in his hair, some TCU shirt on, a mic on, fancy little mic right here. But 2.5 years ago, I actually wasn't up here. 2.5 years ago, I was a janitor, mopping and sweeping. Now, it's nothing against being a janitor, but when you go from being on posters to being on television shows to having documentaries made about you, so now you're mopping and sweeping up vomit for college kids at a dormitory. Humbling. I was so humbled through that whole process. I was so humbled. I can remember it just like yesterday. And I used to be ashamed of myself. But one day I started changing my mindset. I said, I do not want this to be the end of my story. And I know there's somebody in this crowd that went through something. He said, this is not going to be the end of my story. I know somebody didn't do too well that freshman year. I know somebody's been through a depression in this crowd. I know somebody's dealt with anxiety. I know somebody's dealt with body image issues. But I told myself, this will not be the end of my story. So even though I may have been a janitor, I convinced myself. I said, you know what? One day, I'm going to be a Harvard Ph.D. and I will be a Division I football player again so that my father could see me play on TV from the prison cell in Tehachapi, California. I made a decision, so I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I wrote Harvard Ph.D. and Division I football player. I put it on my ceiling. So every single day when I would wake up to go mopping and sweep, I would look at that paper before I left the room. I said, I'm gonna do that one day. So I even told myself, I said, you know what? Instead of me being down about my situation and not playing football and having to be a janitor right now, I convinced myself, no, I'm just mopping and sweeping so I can buy a plane ticket to Harvard. That's what I'm gonna do it. So I changed my whole mindset. And then one day I heard a quote that changed my entire life by Martin Luther King. So, I'll tell you the quote in a second. So one day I go to work, I'm mopping, sweeping, doing my thing. I had a hoodie on, very embarrassed to be who I was at that particular juncture. And then this guy that came past me, it's a guy, to be honest with you, I didn't really like this guy. And he walked past me. He said, hey, you missed the spot. I said, where? He said, right there. And then he spit on the floor. I don't know if I explained earlier, but I come from Compton. All right, I'm gonna let that sit right there. If you didn't get that, you didn't get that. I come from Compton. So I looked at it. I looked at the spit and I looked at the dude. I had to really restrain myself. And he walked off. I said, you know what? Because I heard a quote that morning that changed my life. I said, hey, bro, come back. He said, what's up? I said, where are you about to go? He said, oh, I'm about to go to the calf. I'm about to go eat. Something you can't do because you a janitor. I still got that Compton in me about to, boiling up. But I was like, okay, for real? I tell you what, when you go to that calf, tell them to put that food into your hands and to bring that food from your hands, then bring it back here, put it on this floor, and eat it off this floor. That's how clean this floor is going to be when you get back. I shook his hand. I said, have a nice day. Because I heard a quote that morning. It said, if it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, then sweep streets like Michelangelo painted. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote plays. Sweep streets so well that when you die, may all the hosts of heaven and earth look at your grave and say, there lived a street sweeper who did his job well. I told myself I'll be the best dang janitor that ever lived. If anybody come past this spot on Marist College campus, they're going to know Caylin Lewis Moore must have been there because it's spotless. So I was thinking back in reflection about the mindset that I applied to doing that janitor mindset. I want y'all to take that janitor mindset with that manual labor mindset, that my dad got rough hands. I might not have rough hands, but I got a rough aspect to my character where I will go and get it for you. So I'm talking about that janitor mindset. And I was thinking back the other day, and I was just sitting at the edge of my bed. I said, oh, that dude said I missed the spot. Because I started reflecting back at the fact that I graduated from Texas Christian University with my bachelor's of science in economics, minoring in mathematics and sociology. I'm thinking back to the fact that at the time I won the Rhodes Scholarship out of 3.95 grade point average. I'm thinking back to the fact that I wasn't even in the honors program and I became a Rhodes Scholar, which is giving me full ride scholarship to go to Oxford. I'm thinking back to the fact that I'm getting my master's of sociology, my master's of business administration. I'm thinking back to the fact that I just came back from Harvard from a Ph.D. program that was offered to me there. I'm thinking back to the fact that I'm writing a book right now, and my literary agent is the same one that represents President Obama. I got the spot. I didn't miss the spot, and I cleaned it up well. And that's what I want to give you guys today. If you can't remember anything else, please remember those three things. Thank you guys for having me.